All right, are we live? Are we live? Checking the sound. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sunday emergency live stream. So we were going through our subs, all the people that we follow. We were going through the Twitter. We were going through the market sentiment here, and a lot of indicators are flashing from previous cycles and previous stock market crashes where there is turmoil and blood in the streets, that after these events usually happen and we have news, CNBC and all of the media narratives playing that there's going to be another turmoil crash, that then a year after we end up booming tremendously. So we're going to get into the charts. We're going to look at the S&P 500. We're going to look at the NASDAQ. We're going to analyze all of these trends that are flashing that could signal for us to be going into a massive rally for the next 6 months to a year. So let's cover it. All right, but first, let's hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I want to welcome everyone who is coming into this emergency live stream. So this wasn't planned. So if you're just getting the notification on your phone, the best thing that you can do is hit the like button and make yourselves known. Come into the chat. And if you are new to the channel, this is the best way to introduce yourself, is just to put an emoji, put what you're drinking. If you're sipping some coffee or some tea, some water. And we're going to get into today's news. So a couple things to share. So Jim Cramer is our obvious inverse indicator. Jim Cramer predicts a 1987 style crash with the markets being on the edge. And he was mentioning this 1987 infamous crash of a 22% on the Dow in a single day. His call comes as equities plunge, volatility spikes, and macro uncertainty escalates. But here's the twist. Cramer's bearish calls have historically marked the market bottom. So some traders are now flipping the script, viewing his warning as the ultimate contrary buy signal. And so here's another contrary buy signal, is that every time CNBC does one of their markets and turmoil specials, if you had bought the S&P 500 at the bottom of each panic special, which was the 1 year returns are the green, the total gains borderline ridiculous. So this is pretty interesting. So this is a chart showing all the markets and turmoil specials that CNBC ran in, say, look at 2010. You can see 2011, 12, 15, 18, and then you can see the forward return on the year was 11%, total 62%. And then when in COVID, this is COVID area, March in 2020, where they obviously were probably really pushing the markets in turmoil. And we can go and show you on the charts, you know, even just on Bitcoin, just for the weekly, where this was here we had it circled on the Bitcoin chart for specific area of the COVID crash was right here. And you could see right at a point where it bottomed towards actually the beginning of March is when we had a run up to that new all-time high for 2021, which is that 61,000 and then that 69,000. So really interesting how, you know, when you can see and try and these are the indicators and the flashing indicators that I'm talking about that could maybe have us going in the other direction of what the actual narrative in the news and what we're being told is going to be even more pain, even though we've had pretty decent pain already. You see, here it is. The best contrary indicator known is the CNBC trying to rename it, play it down. But this is a markets and turmoil special. You know what to do. Time to buy. And so the markets right now, in terms of fear and greed, let's go and see and check the fear and greed, the market sentiment right now. We're still in fear. Fear is at 34. Yesterday it was at 30. 7 days ago it was at extreme. It was at like extreme fear, 26, super low. And so this could be not financial advice, of course, but a lot of people, and if you're just a student of cycles in the markets, is you make the most money when the market is in the most fear. That's actually when you make the most money, is in the bear market, because you're able to buy at cheaper prices and you're not buying at euphoria. You're not buying when we're at our quote whatever the top. So you think in January was our opportunity of being at quote our market, bull market, not a bull run top, but our bull market section top here, where we kind of got exhausted at 109. We were buying, we were feeling way more confident in buying up here. Interesting how the market can do that. It can switch your brain on its head and make you feel like you should be buying when it's, oh, now it's looking good. Let me buy now when it's looking good. And so until you get hit with a couple cycles that you do that, then you finally learn that, oh, you got to buy when it looks like garbage. You have to buy when it looks like just terrible. You have to, that, and it's tricky, because then you can think, okay, well, what if I buy this thing that looks terrible and it just keeps going down and it doesn't, and it never looks good? Well, you could, that could happen. It's not off the table. There's not every altcoin is a strong altcoin that's going to survive the downturns and also come back alive whenever Bitcoin and ETH you start to move back in its parabolic phases. So what we need to do is figure out what are the actual strong altcoins right now that we could be watching to get into for the pump. Because, Headband actually made a good point. He was like, okay, if I invest $1,000 right now into Bitcoin and it goes up to $160,000, cool, I made $1,000. I'm not going to retire off of that. And that's facts. You are, unless you're putting a lot of money into Bitcoin right now, and you have a lot, like some size, realistically, when Bitcoin does double, and I think it will, you're not getting a crazy return. I mean, you're going to get a stable return, but you're not going to get a type of return that's going to be like life changing. Unless you're putting say, okay, if you put 100,000, couple 100,000, and then you're doubling that, cool, yeah, that's okay. But when you're just putting in $1,000, $2,000, and then okay, cool, now it's worth 4,000. It's not. You're not gonna be running. That's not life changing. I think what we're going to get the biggest opportunities and returns on is something like Solana, something like Dogecoin, something like native tokens that are on Solana, like Zeus, that is doing DeFi Bitcoin protocols. You can even say, hey, there's a way better return on XRP per what the market cap could grow if we do get a run and a breakout on XRP going to $5. Even then, that's a better return than what Bitcoin would be doing here, I guess, in the immediate short term. But if you're thinking long term, then yes, $1,000 in a Bitcoin, $2,000 in a Bitcoin, and you're holding it for the next 10 years, that's how you have to think about it. But if you're wanting percentage gains this year that will completely outpace Bitcoin 100, like by hundreds of percent, then you have to be risk on into the altcoins. Because some of them, you don't even have to even be so risky, and just know that, hey, like things like Near Protocol are involved with multiple different narratives, as well as AI. When I found out about Near, I didn't realize that they were like heavily into AI. So then that's also playing on a really good narrative. It's almost like a social chain as well. Very much kind of similar to Solana. It's like similar to Solana, but different on the same time. And we're going to go into a couple coins here, because there is a list that, if you're familiar with the AI, speaking of AI, the AI XBT, this was the best post I've seen AI XBT drop, I think, since its creation. it just gave clear signal that, hey, this is just like key metrics on the matter of why these particular altcoins could be an easy bag hold for the next couple months, and not even just next couple months, just for the rest of the year, and just the narrative that's going to play out for maybe in 2026 and going into 2027. Got to think the next 4 years, because these cycles are going to be a little bit different, especially with the liquidity coming in per stables. Solana showing that metric. Here's the Say network. Sui's been getting a lot of the market share. It's been mentioned a lot, but I feel like it was like Say and Sui were in that same conversation, because it's almost just like wordplay. Say, Sui. Okay, cool. I guess I'm just going to be bullish on both of them. But here's the key metrics for Say. 350% TVL growth and also 400K daily addresses. So that's a big metric of growth. And then also you have Near with 1.2 million active addresses and then 53 million weekly transactions. So that is substantial. So the Near protocol is being used. Sol, we mentioned about this in our video that we released just yesterday. We talked about Sol, and we talked about how the reason why this pattern is so important and why we think it really is going to break out at Solana. Our price prediction for Sol is just the breakout cup and handle pattern. And a big reason why this Sol could get to $1,000 per coin is because they are going to be one of the chains that are acquiring the most Bitcoin through Bitcoin DeFi. So imagine people that are Bitcoin whales and institutional Bitcoin companies are now putting and bridging their Bitcoin over through the Zeus protocol, and then so the value of the chain is going up through the Bitcoin being bridged over. And then you also have the stable coin liquidity being minted on Solana. So this is how we actually get to this chart. Here, I'll show you the chart. It's a nice chart. You go to the weekly, just look at Sol on the weekly chart. That is how you're going to get the bullish Raw Paul, zoomed out macro look at the market. And now we're talking. Now we're talking. Okay, so you got $1,000. Now you're talking to 722% breakout move to the upside. Now we're working with something. Now we're working with something. Because then to say you're still bullish Bitcoin, now you could take your gains and get triple the Bitcoin that you would have had if just putting your $1,000 into Bitcoin. Now, I don't know if you like that observation. I kind of like that. That's kind of the Moon Boy observation of this is why we like the altcoins. It's because we're not about the tech. We always act and think or make people think that we care about the tech, but really we care about number go up and percentage go up. How much gains can we get off of Bitcoin's 20%, 30%, 40% moves, 100%, whatever it's going to do over the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whether it be 100%. If we get in 6 months, if we get 100%, I'd still be happy, because then I would at least know that some of our altcoins would have gone up at least over 400 and 500% against Bitcoin's 100% move. And if ETH truly goes home and wakes up and bounces from these levels that we've been talking about to correlate, these few, these narratives, we have a bunch of things that are playing out all together. Is that Bitcoin dominance has been has been trending up, and until that trends down, along with the strength of the dollar, then we get ETH at a $10,000 ETH we get more liquidity and stables still being minted and on ETH. ETH, even though people are doing their bear post about how no one's going to use ETH, even Marty, as bullish I am on Marty Party, he's like, look, ETH is there. They're not going to use it. They're going to use Solana. And I'm like, you might be right, but then also you could be drastically wrong that these trad guys, old heads, are still going to be stubborn and they're like, we're going to use Ethereum still. But there's a lot to do with programming language and all that stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of metrics. It's not all just about one particular thing. But we need ETH. So I'm just going to be naive and say, hey, the old heads are picking ETH after they're done learning and figuring out how they're going to get their Bitcoin all squared away. They have to dot their I's, cross the T's. They move a little bit slower. And then once that comes in, we see what happened with Bitcoin when the old heads came in with the ETF. We saw what happened from January. Here at the bottom, we crushed it. And then here, this is when we were told that the ETF was a failure and it really wasn't going to push Bitcoin, past 100K. And then we just blast off from a 5-month sideways action into the stratosphere. All right, so let's go back to that post. The other one, really interesting, is with ARB. 40% year-to-date network growth with Arbitrum. 65% APY yields. So if you're using Arbitrum or there's ability to do Arbitrum pairs with possibly stables, this could be an interesting opportunity, and also where we can figure out where to park some of our stablecoin liquidity at times where the market's maybe not moving and we want to generate some yield over time. Be good to learn where the best spots to do this for the points of the bear market. So continuing reading this post, markets at peak fear with 6 billion shorts facing liquidation at 90K. So this is what I think might be playing out for this week coming up. So the question is, Monday, is it going to be Black Monday? Everyone's calling for a Black Monday. Black Monday. There's the turmoil, markets in turmoil kind of going all through. Is it going to be even more red? Emmanuel said, "What's the emergency, bro? I left family brunch for the alpha." Don't be clickbaited by me. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys and give you the breakdown. I wanted to give you the kind of the market observation for where I think the flip bait and switch is happening here. So there is no emergency, but we're talking about how this coming week could actually be a very strong week for crypto, because just through the weekend and on Friday, crypto signaled just a strong, it held up really nice. So if we're just kind of looking at the market as a whole for crypto, it's looking like, and the big streamers too. A lot of the TA guys are calling for, like, look, these are so many metrics and indicators that are signaling that this is so close to the pre-bottom breakout with the stock market and also with crypto. I think in gold, silver, precious metals, these are starting to break out. Like, the dollar strength is trending down. So this is all signaling. And the Feds are, I think, going into the rest of the year with cutting rates. They're going to cut rates. We've already had the crash down. They really, you know, we thought, okay, look, that was going to be a double bottom for the S&P. They brought it down even more. It's kind of a bit of a trap for I would say some of the traders that maybe thought, okay, that was the bottom here, but it fell through there. We were definitely wrong on that observation of, okay, that was the possible break, and then they'll try and scoop it back up, but they really tore it down. So I think from here you can see where in April of last year, where they kind of did this, the stock market kind of did the same thing, interesting enough. So this is what Benjamin Cohen was explaining in his video. The dubious speculation is that, you know, the S&P, if you're looking kind of tight in here, we're around the same. Look at this. This is crazy. April 4th, 2024, we plunged. We plunged. And you can see here, we just kind of put a line here, and then you can see from here this let's do, make sure this is logged. Yeah. So it definitely was not as big of a drop, but it still went down. It still trended down, and then from that bottom established it was kind of choppy, but it eventually broke out. And so what I'm thinking here is either we establish some support because we already have fell through this area right here, 5100 on the S&P, and we have some established areas of support going through here. So could the stock market open up possibly in the red for the week? Really scare them, and then from there we get the recovery. But we can see here that in previous, I think Benjamin Cohen was, let's see on the monthly, points of bottomings of the stock market, 75, 82, 87. You can see a major like, and this is on the monthly here. So then you see a 21% on the month in October of 87. And then let's see some other nice little crashes that were 20%. Here's in 2008. Okay, 2008, that was good, but it was a few. You got 9% in September, then 16% in October, and then it tried to recover, but then you can see here, and then January 2009, 8%, then another 11%, and finally then it bottomed at the S&P being at 666. Oh no, geez. So then from there, from that bottom, you can see then it recovered. Oh, and then you got another 12% right here. And this was in March 2020, which was the COVID crisis, COVID crash, 8%, and then 12%. And now we have our 5% in March, and then a 10% right here. If we keep going, to that support level of where we crashed last year, then that would be a 16, 17, or 20% crash for the stock market to then hit a bottom, and then we start to fly. If the measured move, if we're going to go by kind of what happened here, boom, boom, could say we get a nice check. And then by, I don't know, 2027, 2028, we're at an $8,000 S&P 500. The Russell trades at like 364. Gold would be then at $4,000, or yeah, $4,000 an ounce. Silver trading at $60 an ounce. This is where all my price predictions are headed. I think after this market turmoil BS, this is where I think the market's headed. And if you go to the monthly charts and the weekly charts, it looks a lot more bullish. But when you go into micro, it looks like it just looks terrible. But then when you go into the weekly and monthly charts, it makes a lot more sense. It makes a lot more sense. You start to see cup and handle patterns everywhere. You start to see breakout patterns. It's selling exhaustion, so much seller exhaustion. Like you can't keep selling for so many months of the down pressure until you fly. So it's coming. The liquidity's coming down the line. We got a lot of smart people that have been in the business way longer than us stupid idiot crypto people that act like we're like professional financial advisors, but like guys like Howard Lutnick and Steve Bessett and like all these dudes, these guys have known the markets for a long time, and they've moved and messed and dealt with trillions of dollars. So you think they're gonna what do you think they have planned? They have some massive plans. They're not stupid. So I'm trying to follow the money and the liquidity, and it's going on chain, baby. That's where it's going. It's going on chain. So all right, well, shout out to everyone who's watching. We didn't know who was going to come. We just started, hey, we're going to come on here and live stream, and we have some clips we wanted to show, some tweets, some coins that we're interested in, some macro analysis, and let's play this clip. This is a clip of Trump referencing the market as being in the economy that we were a sick patient that's going through some surgery, and it's going to recover. And once we recover, we're going to be like, the $1 million man. We will rebuild. We will rebuild him. He will run faster, strong. He will be stronger. Check this out.
This is a patient that was very sick. We really inherited a terrible economy, as you know, with a lot of problems, including loss of manufacturing and plants closed up all over the country. We've lost 90,000 plants since NAFTA, if you think of that. 90,000. It's not even believable. And about 6 million jobs. And so it was a sick patient. It went through an operation on Liberation Day. And it's going to be a booming country.
Here's the reality, though, and I really am. I'm dead on with this, and it's just a reality. Look, check it out, because I read someone's comment, and they said, I think it was Ivan. Let's go to Ivan's response on this, and he was like, Let's see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Trump is smart. He brings back jobs. How many Americans will work in a sweatshop 12-hour shifts Asia style for pennies on the dollar? Factories won't move. Americans will just pay more tariff for the same stuff. So that's the harsh reality of like, look, okay, back then, like, yeah, industries were like, yeah, we had the car industry. We had all these industries and factories and all this stuff. But the kids were also being manipulated back then as well, and there was like a lot of there wasn't a lot of protection against the workers in that sense until maybe probably some some unions and different things came into play, or just some worker protection stuff. Like, oh my gosh. But just imagine say, oh, okay, we're going to open up all these factories and all these plants and all these things in America. How many people do you actually think are going to want to work in the factories and just to be honest and do that work? They're going to want to get a decent wage. They want the working conditions to be good, because you see how Amazon had got a lot of backlash with how they were treating workers. They were just like working in factory and working in the warehouses with the AC shut down for weeks, and people were having heat strokes and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. It's there's a lot more to it. It doesn't just happen overnight, this whole process of trying to get jobs and all this stuff and energy and all these things back into America. I mean, you got to think, if we've outsourced everything for the past 16 years under a Democratic primary influenced, oligarchy of slush funding money everywhere, it's probably going to take longer than 2 months or 3 months of a Trump administration to unravel the damage of what has ensued. So it's going to be an interesting 6 months or the rest of the year, but sure as hell going to be a really interesting rest of the 3-4 years of the Trump administration, because if all their plans succeed and all this liquidity that we think is going to be coming on chain, it's going to cause a wave of millionaires to be minted, but it's not going to be overnight. I always say, oh, they're going to be millionaires to be minted overnight. No, it's going to be a steady process of holders who can hold through the freaking volatility, and hopefully we're holding the right coins and the right chains and coins and the native coins under them that are going to pump the most. That's why we're here. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's be honest. We want number go up, pump go up, pump, PAWMP. It's what we want. But until then, you have to look and think to yourself, damn, 114 Solana, that's pretty cheap compared to where it just was in the beginning of the year at $2.90, at almost $3 a Solana. That's not too bad. That's a 160% move to the upside. And that's just with Bitcoin going back up to its previous all-time high from where we're sitting at right now, which then, if you pull that move, that's just a measly 33%. What are we talking about right now, folks? Well, we're talking about not being a bear, and we're talking about having some faith. Headband says BTC to 1 million a token, baby. I think it can get there. I think when Michael Saylor and Cathie Wood and all these guys, when they say $1 million per coin, I think some people probably go, all right, okay. But when you start to think about the amount of liquidity that is on the sidelines that isn't on chain yet, it could get wild. I mean, it could get crazy. Like the stablecoin thing, I don't think people are, I'm starting to realize, like, because I'm now becoming a person that is now in my content talking about stablecoins and trying to figure out, like, okay, where are they minting all these stablecoins on? Where is all this money going to go into? Because at a point, when the stablecoins come in, Oh, I did. No, you haven't seen my action figure that I made. It's hilarious. I made one for MemeCon. I gotta go to MemeCon, and I don't. It came out really funny. Let's see. There it is. It's like really bad because it's not even it doesn't even look right at all. But it is off of this one for the Sproto Gremlin action figure. It gave me 2 bottles of wine. I don't know why it gave me 2 bottles of wine. 2 bottles of wine, 1 cig, some sunglasses. It's ridiculous. And they said doubly wrecked. I don't know why it did that. I have no idea. You ask AI. AI has just been really. Sometimes I've been trying to use AI and it's just these prompts. You got to work with it, man. You ask it to go, okay, hey, can you just add this, take this out, and it says, okay, I'll do that for you, and it generates a whole different image with all new stuff added into it. I'm like, no, I didn't ask you that, and I'll talk to it like this. I say, no, I didn't ask you to add a puppy in there with 7 eyes. Said to just take this thing out. It says, oh, okay, I'll take it out, and then we add an octopus puppy in there. I'm like, no, stop. It's like trying to do old school Google AI. Back when you put your image in and it'd put a poodle on your hand. All right. Who's trading the markets right now? They're going to be a little wild. They're going to be a little volatile. It's going to be a little funky right now. It's going to be a little funky. Let's check our chart. I don't even know if I want to check my trade. Let's see. Yeah, it's looking a little funky. It's looking a little funky right now. We've gotten some dumps on the altcoins. Sol definitely took a little bit of a plunge. Let's look at, is there a gap? There's some gaps, I'm sure. There's been some gaps here. Any CME gaps? We filled the one that we were waiting for. Everyone was waiting for that one. I wouldn't say everyone was waiting, but yeah, really the stock market, everything is just at a great. This is just like great buying opportunities if you think about it. I mean, really, really great buying opportunities on just about everything. If you're looking at Nvidia, Tesla, silver, the S&P, the Russell, gold. Most of the altcoins are still under the 200-day moving average with, Yeah. Things like AVAX and ETH. Sui's under its 200-day moving average. Like that thing was on its way to $7. Sui was on its way to $7. I think it still probably could get there. SHIB under its 200-day moving average. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Polkadot. Look at Polkadot. You can see Polkadot's like is actually looking good. But sitting right at a support breakout in 3 different spots. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could just, it's even like perfectly measured. A $10, $11, $12 Polkadot is, I mean, it's so easily doable. And look at $3.88. Look, it's so cheap. That's a kombucha. That's a kombucha. That's a kombucha right there. That's a glass of booch. I'm pretty sure that all these big heads, these trad guys, they're gonna learn about Aave, and maybe they didn't even know about it right here, and it was still up at $300, $400 for an Aave. This is on the daily chart, and if you look at the weekly, you can see we're forming a sweet little pattern here. But I want this to be green on the inside. I don't want it to be red. I want it to be green. And we're just going to do our little moon boy measurements. Don't laugh. All you got to do is believe. All you have to do is believe. That's all you have to do is have belief and some TA drawings on the chart, and everything will be A-OK. See, if you go to the weekly, you could just say, damn, 143 is cheap. You do the same thing with Bitcoin. You could say, Pepe, MAGA Pepe, what do I do? Well, he'd say, Ribbit, that's cheap, my friend. Just put the hat on. We were just at $147 Litecoin, and now we're at 78 again. Cheap. But look at what happens. It happens every time. You get a run up from the bottoms here. You get volatility. Look at the volatility here. You're not going to get up only without some spookage. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully everything is going to be okay. I think it will. But where there's volatility and people to be liquidated, the sharks are going to be ready to chomp. The gators, they're going to be ready to chomp with massive force. So let's see what happens. All right. Thanks for coming into the Emergency Sunday live stream market breakdown. And we appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hitting the like button. Make sure you share this live stream. Check out all the links in the description if you want to directly support the channel. And have a good rest of your day.
This token is the end game. It's the shitcoin of shitcoin. I mean, imagine telling your coworkers you're quitting because Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you coin. Boom! Imagine the media reporting on Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you. Ticker is Bitcoin, breaking 1 billion market cap. Now, unless you hate money, go ahead and visit
HPOSNI.com.